Welcome on into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, talking about some news that came out on Wednesday that I think has some really important relevancy to teams like the Atlanta Falcons. We talked about it, though, on yesterday's episode with the NFL salary cap expected to be larger than initially projected. Could be anywhere between $5 to $10 million more than what people thought it would be, which is around $272 million. So, if it goes up for all teams at the same level, why does this benefit some teams more than others? I think that's a pretty, maybe not simple answer, but there's a very good answer, which is there are 5 teams who are currently below the or above the salary cap. You know what I mean? Like they need to get into the green. So when I see the salary cap is going to be larger than expected, I don't think that's terrific news necessarily for the New England Patriots, who already have $100 million plus in cap space. If you're New England, what does it matter if you have $120 million in cap space or $125 million in cap space, right? You're not going to spend an extra $5 million. You weren't going to spend all $120 million. That's not the goal of free agency, to get down to zero. No, you probably are going to spend about the same you were going to spend before anyway. So I think this increased salary cap really benefits teams that are aggressive in their spending, that backload contracts, and are currently above the salary cap and need to get below it before the start of the new league year. Because this extra $5, $6, $7 million in cap space that maybe wasn't accounted for, well, that's the difference between keeping Grady Jarrett or David Onyemata, right? If the Atlanta Falcons were going to be $12 million over the cap, maybe one of those guys is a guarantee, adios, see you later, pack your bags, and the other is we'll have to wait and see. But now that's down toward maybe $5 million. Could be the difference of losing 1 or losing 0. Whereas a team like the Patriots and some of the other teams with an enormous amount of cap space, are they really going to make the most out of an extra $5 million? I don't think they'll even notice the difference of an extra $5 million in cap space. You know who will? Someone who needs to get below the salary cap, like Atlanta. So an extra $5, $6, $7 million in cap space, and Grady Jarrett might be a Falcon next year. That's a huge pro and bonus for those 5 teams trying to get below the salary cap without losing as many key players or players they like of their choice. So before I expand more on this subject here, I'm not going to lie to you guys. The YouTube analytics across the company do not have Falcons Today in the green when it comes to subscribers over the last month. We're one of the worst right now in chat sports. I'm not proud of it, but I do want to see this channel continue to rise. And my boss said with the studio space crunch we have, with all the construction going on at chat sports, if we don't gain another 40 subscribers and get up to 30,000 or 32,000, 32,100 or 33,100, whatever the number is right now, we are not going to have a live show on Thursday. And that would suck. So please go ahead and subscribe if you have not already. So getting back to the salary cap, though, because I talked all about this on yesterday's episode or 2 days ago, depending on when you're watching this. And if you enjoy this type of content, I highly recommend you watch this video because I do a much deeper dive on what it all means. But when it comes to any potential big moves for Atlanta with this new 5, 6, 7, whatever it may be, $1 million in cap space, I don't think it's going to happen. You probably assumed I'd come up here and go like, Falcons are going to swing for the fences now. They have got an extra $6 million in cap space. No, I think the salary cap bonus, or add-on surplus is just going to go towards keeping Jarrett or Onyemata. I don't think that's going to be the difference maker in landing one of the premier free agent pass rushers. Not that there really is a premier Danielle Hunter or Jonathan Grenard pass rusher, a guy coming off a monster year and still in the prime of his career. You got Khalil Mack, who's kind of old, and you got Josh Sweat, who's inconsistent, but he did just have a pretty good game against Kansas City, so he'll get a nice pay raise from that. I think / hope there will be bigger signings from this move, the salary cap increase, in 2026. Right now, and this is a very fluid number, Atlanta is projected to have a little under $90 million in cap space next offseason. That's based off a $292 million projected salary cap. Every single year they come out with projections. Every year. It lasts like 2 years. And every single time it's going to be higher than those projections. So I think Atlanta's going to have about $90 million in cap space before they make any type of roster moves, restructures, releases, trades, all that stuff. So I think the time for the Falcons to make a big blockbuster move is next offseason. I think 2025 should be devoted towards Michael Penix exploration. Learn what you have in the guy. If you find out halfway through the year, we have our QB for the next decade plus, he looks terrific, like a CJ Stroud or a Jaden Daniels type rookie campaign, because it'll kind of feel like his rookie season, but he'll have more experience than other rookies do, then that's the time to go out there and make some big acquisitions. This offseason, I don't think so. I don't think this is the time to go out and make big overpays. And that sounds insane coming from me. I feel like this is a severance moment where, like, my Audi would want to kill me right now for saying this. But I think it's probably in Atlanta's best interest to, sure, of course, improve their pass rush, but not overpay in free agency, right? Where if they really want Josh Sweat and other teams are offering $15 million a year, whatever the number is, and Atlanta goes, we'll double it. No, you can do that next offseason if Penix has a good year. And you're like, we've got the quarterback. Let's go out and let's really beef up this defense. Let's overspend. Let's splurge a little bit because the time to strike is now. I want to know that before making those big signings. I don't want to purchase a home before I visit the property. I don't want to make a huge long-term commitment to a defensive end if it turns out in a year from now, Penix ain't the guy for whatever reason, and now you've got a really expensive pass rusher, which isn't a bad thing, but it didn't really time up with what you were hoping with the quarterback, right? You want to time out those big signings to having the quarterback position nailed down so you can build out the rest of the supporting cast. Those big signings, they're not worthless if you don't have the right quarterback at the right quarterback at the time, but it feels like empty calories. Oh, great, we got Myles Garrett, 14 sacks for the Browns last year. They still won 3 games. They didn't have the quarterback. You know what I mean? So that would be my mindset of when it comes to free agency, I don't think this increased cap should dramatically sway their approach to it. I think next offseason is the time to take the driver out. This will sound kind of pussyish. Take the iron. Lay up in the middle of the fairway. Not the worst thing in the world. Don't go searching for your ball in the woods. I do that a lot. So what is your confidence level, though, in Terry Fontenot? More cap space, which right now they still need to get in the green. They're in the red. Could be more signings, potentially. Do you think he's the right man for the job when it comes to, hey, we give you a surplus, a bigger budget to throw a party? Is he Angelo Martin? Is he going to throw a good party? Let me know. Scrolling down the comment section, give me a 1 through 10. I'd put my confidence for Terry right now at a 5.1. And that's just me wanting to be half glass full. But 4 straight losing seasons, he's really starting to lose me a little bit here. Now, next up on the show, I want to talk about a rising star in Atlanta that people already have their eye on, but it was nice to see this person get some recognition from the NFL community and the writers from it. So, first things first, though, a quick shout-out to our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the place to go if you are trying to get with daily fantasy sports. They've got over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has so many awesome deals. They've got Venmo and MasterCard for quick and easy deposits, along with withdrawals into your account this season. Basketball season is heating up, and you can now win up to 1,000 times your money on PrizePicks. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Here's an example of some PrizePicks selections for, as I film this on Thursday afternoon, tonight's game between the U.S. and the 51st state. Taking the less on McDavid, taking the more on the man in between the pipes, and the more on Kachuk. So, take the guesswork right now out of it when you use PrizePicks. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. So who is this rising star for the Atlanta Falcons? It is offensive coordinator Zac Robinson. I stumbled across an article from The Athletic that highlighted the top 50 coaches, personnel, front office folks under the age of 40. And Zac Robinson was on this list. So I thought we could all take a second to kind of refresh ourselves on Atlanta's play caller, and that while Raheem Morris definitely flunked on the Jimmy Lake hire, it's looking pretty good for this hire at the OC position. You guys can read what The Athletic had to say on Zac Robinson and how he was instrumental in LA when Baker came over, and then with Stafford and getting that run game going with Kyren Williams, who no one had high expectations for. But as I kept reading, there was something that really jumped out to me, and it was this part here. The Falcons underwhelmed last season in part because Cousins hit a wall. But people around the league believe the future partnership between Robinson and Penix is very bright. Some of you watching may have a reaction of, oh, great. Another Kyle Shanahan where we're going to have a great offensive coordinator that's just hired away. That's a good problem to have. Think about it. You could have a problem where you have a Jimmy Lake who runs a defense into a ground, and then you fire him. Or you can have an offensive coordinator that's so good at his job, other people want to hire him. I understand it's tough when coordinators get poached away and you got to replace them and you feel like they were the catalyst for the offense or the defense. But I'd rather have a coaching staff that other coaches and other teams want to take from than, oh, they're so bad, we want nothing to do with those guys. They're going to fire them before the year's up. So this is, in my opinion, a good problem to have. As for Robinson, he should have a lot of fun this offseason because he has so much skill and talent to work with. We know Penix has an insane deep ball with precision accuracy on it. Bijan's Bijan. Drake London and Darnell Mooney nearly put up 1,000 yards each this year. And Kyle Pitts, we'll see if he's on the team still. But the other four guys are looking really good. So I'm anticipating a lot of points in 2025. The offense, it was weird at times, but I think Kirk Cousins played a major factor in that. I think Robinson felt limited by Kirk. I don't think he trusted Kirk to get under center and run play action. I don't think he believed Kirk could execute a simple under center play action drop back or anything like that. I think he had to kind of hide him or camouflage him in the pistol or shotgun and reduce the amount of mobility asked of his quarterback. That won't be the case anymore for Penix. I think this playbook is about to be blown wide open. And then you've got all this firepower around Penix, right? The year that Robinson had a breakout sophomore campaign. And then Darnell Mooney and Drake London really forming one of the best receiver tandems in the National Football League. And if it wasn't for an injury to Mooney towards the end, we have two back-to-back or 2,000-yard receivers in Drake London's best season yet, and I expect those numbers to only go up. So very excited to have Robinson on this Falcons coaching staff. I do agree that he is one of the up-and-coming bright minds, and it may not be long until he's a head coach elsewhere, but the Rams, for example, have lost a lot of key members, and, well, they were in the NFC Championship game this past season. So it's not a death blow to lose an offensive coordinator or something like that. All right, before we sign off, how many wins for the 2025 Falcons? 8 wins last year, 7 wins for 3 seasons before that. Can they get to 9? Can they get to 10? I'm going to say give me 10-7. That's what I predicted last year. It was looking pretty good for a while there. Thanks a lot, Kirk. So give me 10 wins for 2025. Before we get on out of here, we're going to spin the wheel, pick a viewer out of the comment section. I just scroll down to the comments and pick 6 random viewers to show some appreciation to for interacting with our content. So if you want to be on the wheel, comment down below and you might be selected. Are we ready to spin that wheel, Mr. Barkus? There we go. Off and running. Who's going to get 2 claps? And it's Mr. Mike, it looks like. Mike Malone. Mr. Malone, thank you so much for interacting and viewing our content here. 2 claps for Mike, everyone. 1, 2. I will see you guys tomorrow.